What is up, everybody? We are back here at King Film Sports for some soccer content. And yes, the Euro 2020, or now I guess Euro 2021, but they are insisting that go by Euro 2020 tournament is upon us here. And this is the start of a bevy of soccer content coming to this channel. In this video, I will be doing the Euro 2020 predictions. And in upcoming videos, we will be doing Euro 2020 futures for all these sports wagerers out there, and then Copa America predictions and Gold Cup predictions. But this is the most important tournament this summer, Euro 2020, and because it's the 60th anniversary of the first European tournament, it is going to be hosted in 12 different cities, with the semifinal and final occurring in Wembley Stadium in London, England. But we get into it here in Group A, which is hosted by Italy and Romania, I'm pretty sure. So in first place in this group, I'm going to have to give it to Italy, as I'm pretty sure they are unbeaten in their last 20 matches. They really haven't been in an international tournament in a while. It's been since Euro 2016 when they got bounced out pretty early, I remember, in the knockout stage. If you remember, they did not make the World Cup. That was a fiasco, losing to Sweden. But they've hit their form as of late. Very defensive side. They'll get a couple draws here, but playing at home in all three games, I think they will do what it takes to win the group. Second, I'm going to be placing Switzerland in second. Their talent has kind of gotten older. They obviously have Xhaka, Shaqiri on the offensive side. But they're just great at getting out of the group stages in these major tournaments. They qualify for every one. They don't do much once they're in the knockout stage, but they usually get there. So I have Switzerland coming in second, as I just see them as a better team than Turkey and Wales. In third, I'm going to have Turkey, because they have played their fair share of great games. They tied and beat France in the European qualification. They beat the Netherlands. So they are a great side on their good day, but they are very inconsistent, and I don't know if they're going to be able to get it done. Then Wales, although they had a great showing in the last Euros, I don't think it's their time for this one. Their stars are kind of aging, and I just don't see their defense as being good enough to compete with these other teams. I have them finishing in last. Now we get on to Group B, which is going to be hosted by Russia and Denmark, who are going to be hosting the games. I have Belgium winning the group. Yes, they're the number one FIFA-ranked team in the entire world, and they have a lot of talent. Now, I am very concerned, especially for these group stage matchups, that Kevin De Bruyne, who sustained a facial injury in the Champions League final, I don't know if he's going to be able to play, and he's an integral component of this Belgium team in the midfield. He was great for them in the World Cup. I don't know if he's going to be able to play in these games, but regardless, they have a stellar attacking front with Azar and Lukaku. So Belgium number one here. I don't think it's going to be 9 points out of 9, just because they're going to be playing at Russia and at Denmark in those respective games. But I think they will win the group because they have so much talent, and they also have Thibaut Courtois, one of the best goalies on planet Earth. So it's going to be very hard to score on them. Then I have Denmark finishing second. Was contemplating putting Russia here, but I just think Denmark has more talent and is more cohesive. And I'm going to be putting Russia in third because I know they got to the quarterfinal in the World Cup, but that was a bit of luck, and it was on their home turf. Now, these group stage matchups, all three of them will be taking place in Russia for the Russians, but I still see them finishing in third, and then Finland in last. This is their first European tournament that they have qualified for, but I just see them having a weak showing in this Group B. Next, we have Group C, and this one is very, very simple. I believe this one is hosted by the Netherlands and somewhere else, but the main thing to know is that the Netherlands get all three games at home, and they are against far inferior opponents in Austria, North Macedonia, and Ukraine. So give me Netherlands to win the group. I think this is going to be 9 points out of 9, 3 straight up just wins against these teams. Then in second, a lot of people have Ukraine in second in this group, but I think Austria has been playing very well as of late. They've been competing against these big-time sides, And I think they could potentially even maybe get a draw against the Netherlands team. Reminder, Netherlands is without Van Dijk because he has a knee injury, but they still have a lot of talent. Austria has some talent too. I think they will stick in there and get the number 2 spot. Then at number 3, I know Ukraine has been trending upward as of recently. I'm putting them at 3rd, and then North Macedonia, I think they are going to get slapped around 4th place in this group, and I don't even think they'll get a point. Now we go to Group D. This is a very competitive group. It's hosted by Scotland and England, and in first place, I'm going to have to put England. I think their starting 11 is just immaculate, and even their entire squad at home in all 3 games and against probably inferior opponents, you'd say. I think first place is theirs for the taking. Number 2 is Croatia, and I know they made the World Cup final, and I know they beat England in that World Cup, but they have greatly diminished since then. Their players have gotten older. They're kind of shifting between that old generation and this new generation, and I just don't think they'll be able to swipe up first place, but I think they're much better than the Czech Republic and Scotland. And then in third, a lot of people have Czech Republic taking over Scotland, but I like to see the underdog story. I'll root for Scotland in this group. And I think with games at home against Croatia and the Czech Republic, I think Scotland will be able to compete, maybe get a draw against an England or a Croatia and be able to beat Czech Republic and secure that 3rd spot and maybe get into the knockout stage. Then in Group E, we have Spain. I know they're hosting, some other countries hosting, but none of the teams in this group. Give me Spain to get first place in this group. They are by far the best team. But I think if Poland does get hot, Lewandowski, obviously one of the best goal scorers in the world, I mean, they can give Spain a run for their money and potentially win it. I don't really like Spain's offense for their national team as seen in the last World Cup. I mean, they really just completely pass the ball and look for everything the perfect goal when it doesn't really come about, and that's how they obviously lost to Russia. But I think they'll take one. Number 2, give me Poland. I think they're much better than Sweden and Slovakia. So I think Lewandowski, he's been pretty underwhelming in these tournaments for his national team, but he doesn't have much help around him. But Poland, I think, will get in the number 2 spot. Then Sweden, they've seen a massive growth. They got to the quarterfinal of the last World Cup, and I think they'll be able to secure up 3rd place in this one. And then Slovakia, I think they are much worse than these 3 other teams, and I think they will get in last. And then finally, we have a true group of death between Portugal, France, Germany, and Hungary. Really, you could say anyone between Portugal, France, and Germany for this first spot, but I'll give it to France. They are the last World Cup champions, and they really haven't done anything bad since. I think they've only improved. Their players have gotten better. They get Karim Benzema back. He'll see some time off the bench. So I don't think France will win all 3 of these games, but I certainly don't think they will lose against any of these 3. So give me France to finish in first. Then in second, bit controversial, but I'm putting Portugal above Germany. I don't think Germany's been trending in the right direction as of late, and Portugal's been getting a lot better. It's not only Ronaldo on this national team. They have a few other players, João Felix, Bruno Fernandes, who are great players on the attack. So I think Portugal will upset Germany and finish in second in this group. Then in third, I'll give it to Germany. They are just a machine, and they have great depth, but at the top, do they have enough talent to compete with France and Portugal? I'm just not sure. And then Hungary, I'm sorry for them that they got drawn into this type of group, but it's just not going to happen. I have them finishing in last, even though they had some surprising performances, including a draw against Germany in the qualification. So, I mean, they may be able to harvest a point or 2 in this group, but they're not qualifying for the knockout stage. I have them finishing in last. And now we get on to the 3rd place teams in the Euro Cup. The 4 best 3rd place teams are the teams with the most points and best goal differential out of the 6, make it onto the knockout stage. it's pretty confusing, but the ones that I chose to make the knockout stage were Russia, Ukraine, Sweden, and Germany. Rip to Turkey and Scotland, who did not make the cut. And now we get into my knockout stage, and off the bat, we have just an excellent matchup. I mean, this could be a final matchup, potentially Belgium versus Germany. And at this point, Belgium, I mean, would they be ready for this kind of test? Germany would be battle tested, already playing Portugal and France, but I don't think they'd win either of those games. So give me Belgium. At this point, I know Germany has the greater history, but I don't think they're playing great as a team. You saw what happened in the World Cup in 2018 when they kind of crumbled to the ground. If Germany comes to play, this is going to be a very good game. We could potentially be seeing extra time and penalties, but I think Belgium's goal scoring will be the difference here, and I think they have better goalkeeping, so give me Belgium to win that. Then Italy and Austria in this next round of 16 game. Some World War I implications here, bad blood. Give me Italy to beat Austria in that one. I think Italy will have an easy time. They're clearly more talented than Austria, and as I mentioned, the unbeaten streak, I don't think they'll be rattled by the group stage. I don't think they'll lose there. Whereas Austria, just happy to make the knockout stage. I think Italy will advance to the quarterfinal. Next, we have France versus Russia, and there is a clear disparity in talent here between France and Russia. I think France could win by potentially 3, 4, 5 goals in this one. I do not think they will be tested by a Russian team that actually did pretty well in the World Cup, but France obviously won it. Give me them in that matchup. Next, we have Croatia and Poland, and if Lewandowski gets hot here, Croatia could be in some trouble. I'm expecting extra time in this one, but give me Croatia to advance. They're just so good in the knockout stage in these international tournaments, so I think they will advance there to play France in the quarterfinal. Now to the bottom of the bracket where I have Spain and Ukraine. This is another easy one. I see Spain knocking out Ukraine, but if they mess around like they did in the round of 16 of the World Cup against Russia and can't score a goal because they're just passing the ball and taking up all of the possession time, I mean, you could see them lose in potentially extra time or penalties, but I don't think that'll happen. Ukraine is a far inferior side. And then another great matchup, England and Portugal. This could resemble a final, potentially. England from Portugal. Great talent, but give me England to win here. I think that Portugal got very lucky in that Euro 2016, and I just don't think they have as much chemistry as this England team has. But regardless, going to be a great round of 16 game. Give me England there. Then a far easier game to predict, Netherlands and Sweden. I have Netherlands advancing there, as Sweden, they're a very defensive team. I mean, if they're successful in this one, they can just stave off the Netherlands for as long as possible, maybe get 0-0 into penalties and potentially win that way. I don't see it. I think Netherlands are too good on the attack for that to happen. Then we've got Switzerland and Denmark, and these are two very evenly matched sides, but I like Denmark a little bit more. I think they have more on the attack, and I think they'll present more goal-scoring opportunities and eventually win that game. So now we get on to the quarterfinal, Belgium versus Italy, a great matchup here, but I think Belgium has more talent, and I think they're far more explosive. I think they can break the game open. Give me Belgium to win there. Then we've got France versus Croatia, a rematch of the World Cup final, and it's coming in the Euro quarterfinal. But give me France to win there. I think they are the far superior team. I think the disparity between talent and between these two sides as a whole is greater than it was 3 years ago in the World Cup. So give me France to win that one. Now on the bottom of the bracket, we have a great matchup between Spain and England. And England is probably more talented team at this point, so I'll give them this victory, but they haven't historically been that great against Spain, and I do not think this matchup is very good for them, but I have them advancing to the semifinal. I just think they have too many weapons in the midfield and the attack, and I think they will advance in that one. Then a pretty easy game on the bottom here. We have Netherlands versus Denmark. Denmark, good run to the quarterfinal, but I think they'll be beaten by a superior team in the Netherlands. Now we get on to the semifinal where it's Belgium versus France. This is identical to the semifinal we actually saw in the World Cup, and it was such an even game. We had a lot of opportunities for both sides, and they were all essentially squandered, and the winning goal was off of a corner kick and a head-in on a carom. But in this one, I'm going to say it's going the other way. I have Belgium defeating France. Is going to be a huge upset. I think on paper, these are two of the best teams in the tournament. And so I think this is probably good enough for a final. But getting in the semifinal, I think Belgium will win this one and advance to the Euro Cup final. And then on the bottom, Netherlands versus England. We've seen this game before. I think it was in the Nations League in 2019. It was a very close game. Netherlands came back to win it, I think 3-1, and there was a controversial offsides call. If Netherlands has Van Dijk, I'm giving them this game because he would be immaculate for their defense. They still have Wijnaldum, who's kind of a defensive midfielder who can be great, but England just has so much on the attack that I think they will be able to bury this Netherlands side. But Netherlands can keep up with them. I think this is going to be a very close game, much like the Belgium-France game. But give me England to win there. And also another thing to mention with this game, the semifinals and the final, they are in Wembley Stadium in London. You're going to have 90,000 fans for England. And that one, I think that could make a difference. And I think England will barely advance to the final. And in that final, in Wembley Stadium, Belgium versus England. England finally meets their end as I have Belgium taking it. Their golden generation, they just have so many great players, so many goal-scoring threats that I think it's going to be very, very hard to take them down in this tournament. However, they did get a very unfavorable draw in my bracket. However, it could be much easier for them in real life. But I just see them as the best team as a whole, and they really haven't gotten any hardware in the entirety of their soccer history. So a Euro victory here would be greatly appreciated. So that's going to do it for my Euro 2020 predictions. Let me know what you guys thought of my group stage and knockout stage predictions in the comments. I will be having another video come out for knockout stage predictions once the knockout stage is completely out, because my bracket is going to obviously be different with all the third place qualifiers and stuff like that. So I'll be doing a separate prediction for that in a couple weeks when that comes out. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for the soccer content coming this summer, and I will see you all in the next one.